Today we're going to be talking about pricing pitfalls and how you can avoid losing several $1,000s every single month. But before we begin, I'd like for you to hit the subscribe button down below because we're going to bring you some incredible investor and landlord content and you don't want to miss it. All right, so the first thing we want to talk about is we want to talk about the importance of emotionally detaching yourself from your rental property, especially if it's a home that you've owned. There's more than likely some type of an emotional investment in that home, or if you bought it as an investment property, you're emotionally attached to it because you were told by an agent, a broker, that this property should rent for X amount. Now, in both of these cases, it's very, very important that you detach yourself from the property and determine right away that the number one priority for you is to price it correctly. So the very first thing that we want to do is we want to look at the bare basic facts about the property. Okay, so the things that we really want to look at and hone in are certain things, because what we have to do is we have to pull comparable properties from around your neighborhood. And so we need to make sure that the properties that we're pulling from are actually comparable, that they're close enough, year built. We also want to look at square footage. We also want to look at number of bedrooms and bathrooms for the property. Those are the three most important things that we're going to look for. And then from there, we can pull up the pictures on Zillow to see, hey, does this property look like mine? Close to the same year built, same square footage, bedroom and bathroom. There's a great chance that this is going to be a good comparable for you, as long as it's close enough. There are also other softwares that you can dig into, things like Rent-A-Meter. We use one here at Evernest called Rent Range. These things will also pull comps, but what I like to tell landlords when I speak to them on the phone is, yes, here are the comps, but you also want to go and look at the pictures on Zillow just to make sure that the look of the property is very, very similar. So the next thing we need to do is, again, be very objective about your property. And you have to decide, and you have to be honest with yourself, is there anything really wrong with my property? And what I mean by this is, do you have a funky layout, right? You may have the same bedrooms and bathrooms mix as somebody else, but if your house is kind of funky in a layout, then it's more than likely going to be less desirable. Well, maybe you have a steep driveway. Do you have a steep driveway? Is your yard way too big, right? So people tend to think that having gigantic yards is really attractive for residents, but it's really not, because they have to take care of that, and they're not as emotionally invested in the property as you are, and so it looks like just a big hassle when they see a yard, especially if it's acreage, that they're going to have to take care of. You can look at, are there railroad tracks? Are you on a very busy street? Are you near power lines? Just be very objective with your property and decide, does my property have anything that stands out that would keep somebody from saying, hey, this is a perfect house for me? Something else you want to do if you're local, or even if you're an out-of-state investor and you've been to the city, is you just want to drive the neighborhood. You want to get a very good sense of the neighborhood. You want to look for yard signs. Preferably, you want to see maybe a sign or two that is for rent. If you see a house for rent and it's from a professional property manager, you can look at that property up online and do your research that way. Something else I would do is just look at several different property managers' websites to see if you can find houses for rent in the area. Now, the only thing that you want to be careful of here is, just because a house is for rent doesn't mean that it's priced correctly. And ultimately, the purpose of this video is to help you price the property correctly. The next factor we want to look at is really just how updated the property is. If your house was built in 1978 and it hasn't been updated since 1978, shag carpet, old colors, old wallpaper, more than likely it's going to take more time for you to rent that property, and so you need to adjust the price accordingly to attract more potential residents. The good news is that most residents don't mind a house that's a little bit outdated because they don't plan to stay there forever. And so if they're thinking, hey, we're going to be here 2 years, 3 years until we save enough money to buy a home, or until we move to another city, or whatever the case is, they're more than likely going to be able to put up with a property that's not completely updated. But the importance of checking out the neighborhood, checking other listings that are close by you, is to see what your competition looks like. If your competition has updated properties, maybe there's some brand new builds or completely remodeled houses, then you're going to be competing with these properties, so you should adjust your property accordingly. You need to give a little bit of a discount based on things that may be lacking from your property based on the competition. The last thing I would say is you want to get professional advice. There's nothing like somebody in the local market who's rented out and managed hundreds, if not thousands of properties over the years to give you the best advice possible. Now, if we can do that at Evernest, we would love to help you. We're in over 30 markets across the country, and we have local offices all over the country with local people who are experts in these markets. And so if we can help you, we'd love for you to reach out to us. You can even fill out a form below this video, and it's a free rental analysis. We'll send you that report and show you, hey, here are the comps, here's everything that you need to know from a professional standpoint. And then if you want to get on the phone and talk with somebody who has local expertise, we'd love to help you there. So that's it. That's the video. We hope that you can avoid the pricing pitfalls we see landlords all over the country make, where they overprice their property and it sits on the market for far too long when it should be rented fairly quickly. All right, if there's anything we can do for you, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you. You can email us at sales@evernest.co, and we look forward to seeing you soon.